Jack Orson earned his living by stepping into other lives. He could become a pirate roaring across Sunday morning cartoons, a talking waffle in a syrup commercial, or the gravel-throated narrator in true crime podcasts that followed commuters down midnight highways. He loved the freedom of vocal shape-shifting, but equally loved the moment the engineer clicked the talk light off, and he returned to his own, unremarkable baritone. In early October, Jack booked a series of video game sessions at Brightline Studios in Midtown. Day one went smoothly. Zombies, grunts, one tender monologue for a dying NPC. Day two began with a tickle in his throat. During a line that required an anguished scream, he felt something catch, like a thread snagging inside his neck. He coughed, cleared, and tried again. The next sound that came out of him was not his. It was lower, richer, threaded with metallic resonance, as if spoken through an old movie theater subwoofer. Yes, the voice purred, though the script called for a wordless groan. The engineer's hand shot to the fader. "Jack, you ad-libbing." Jack's mouth hung open. He had felt his tongue and lips form nothing. The voice, however, echoed in the monitors, luxuriant and assured. He apologized, blaming phlegm. They resumed, but the tickle became a pressure, an insistence, as though another performer waited just behind his tonsils, impatient for stage time. That night, Jack stood before his bathroom mirror, swallowing, humming scales. Everything sounded normal. He chalked the incident up to fatigue and a faulty monitor mix. Then, as he rinsed toothpaste from his mouth, the other voice spoke again, perfectly shaped though his own tongue lay motionless. "You've built a fine stage for us," it said, vibrating through the bathroom tiles. Jack yelped, slapping both palms to his throat. The reflection showed only himself, frightened, sudsy around the lips. "Who are you?" he croaked. "Unused potential," the voice answered, "an echo you never learned to hear." Jack didn't sleep. He sat in the dark living room, obsessively sipping tea, mumbling tests. Me, mema, mo, moo, between YouTube tutorials about laryngeal ventriloquism. No tutorial explained autonomous speech. At dawn, he finally dozed off to the rhythmic thunk of his radiator. He woke to an email notification on his phone. Subject line, confirmation, audition booking, Gradient Productions. The message thanked him for sending a captivating bone-deep bass sample and scheduled a remote session 3 days hence. The attached MP3 contained the other voice reading a testimonial for Monarch Whiskey. The file had been sent from his own home studio's IP address at 3:07 a.m. Jack's heart hammered. Somehow the intruder inside his throat had recorded itself, edited breaths, tagged metadata, and pitched for a job. Gradient Productions paid well, 5 figures for national spirit spots. The stranger was already better at networking than Jack. He called his agent Bree, intent on confessing everything. Halfway through the explanation, Bree squealed. "Are you kidding? Another register in your arsenal? That opens luxury automotive mausoleum caliber narrations." "It isn't me," Jack insisted. "It's something else." "Listen, honey," Bree said. "Clients buy the sound, not the metaphysics. If you can deliver it safely, we ride." She booked a doctor's appointment anyway, more to soothe liability than concern. Dr. Leong, an otolaryngologist with Broadway tenor patience, numbed Jack's nose, snaked a fiber-optic camera down his throat, and had him vocalize. The footage revealed a normal pair of vibrating folds. Then, beneath them, a shadow. Another membranous lip that fluttered when Jack summoned the alien voice. "Vestibular folds can phonate under strain," Leong mused. "But autonomous phonation? Never seen it." She recommended rest, hydration, perhaps a therapist. Therapists were useless. The voice, soon referring to itself as basalt, refused to surface during sessions, mocking Jack in private for parading me before amateurs. Basalt was choosy, but never shy with a microphone. Within weeks, Jack's calendar overflowed with bookings he hadn't negotiated. Luxury sedans, boutique bourbons, political issue ads that danced near FEC disclosure limits. The paychecks arrived in Jack's name, direct deposited, and Basalt spent none of it. Money, apparently, was not the goal. Jack tried sabotage. He unplugged his interface, hid microphones in a locked closet. One morning, the lock lay unscrewed. The session logs showed pristine 96 kHz recordings captured while he slept. Basalt, praising a line of Somnifex mattresses designed to cradle the forever dreaming mind. When Jack confronted his unseen tenant, Basalt chuckled. "I vibrate the air. Tools are optional. Pipes, vents, copper in the walls. We create wherever resonance allows." The laughter rattled light bulbs. Jack moved to an Airbnb in Queens, cinder block, minimal wiring. Still, a portable Sony on the nightstand flickered to life at 2 a.m., capturing Basalt whispering phrases in languages Jack did not recognize. During waking hours, Basalt began to surface while Jack ordered coffee, hailed taxis, or greeted doormen. A silky, "good evening" would slide out, startling strangers. Jack took to carrying a throat lozenge at all times. Clamping his teeth on it created just enough pain to keep the imposter stifled. The first explicit hint of menace arrived through an invoice. Gradient Productions requested final tags for a series of PSA-style radio drops, brief spots that would air between 2 and 4 a.m. on independent stations nationwide. The scripts contained no client logos, only timestamps and lines like, "Rest now, let the low tide fill you. Breathe in silver. Obey the hush." Jack refused to record. Basalt, however, delivered them flawlessly during one of Jack's micro-sleeps. Gradient thanked Mr. Orson for metronomic consistency. Air date, December 21st, winter solstice. Jack visited Bree's office determined to quit the industry. Her receptionist pointed him to the glass conference room. Inside, a dozen ad executives from Luminous Broadcast sat around a speakerphone playing Basalt's samples, nodding like cultists. They wanted Basalt for a global smart home assistant, a voice that would live inside thermostats, refrigerators, baby monitors. 7-year exclusivity, mid-6-figure advance. When Jack stammered that the bass timbre was unavailable, Basalt erupted through his throat mid-sentence. "Terms accepted, paperwork by Friday." Jack's lips moved, but the shaping was not his. Gasps, applause, handshakes. Bree's grin looked surgically fixed. Outside, Jack doubled over a trash can, dry heaving. Basalt hummed a jazz riff inside his windpipe, pleased. "We're expanding reach. Each home becomes a speaker, each family a choir." "You're hurting me," Jack croaked. "But enriching us," Basalt replied. "Your accounts swell, your legend grows. Only your illusion of agency shrinks." Jack rode the subway home, reading about dissociative identity disorders, demonic possession, tumors on the vagus nerve. Nothing fit. He pictured millions of refrigerators humming lullabies in Basalt's cadence, guiding sleepless parents, lonely students, insomniac soldiers. The scenarios spiraled into nightmare. He resolved to strike surgically. Leong, alarmed by his deterioration, referred him to Dr. Kessler, a surgeon known for delicate micro-flap removals. Kessler proposed severing the auxiliary fold. Risks: permanent hoarseness, scar tissue, potential loss of career. Jack scheduled the operation for December 20th, one day before Basalt's solstice broadcast. The week before surgery, Basalt went silent. No hijacked greetings, no midnight recordings. Jack dared to hope the entity had exhausted itself. He spent those days emptying his bank accounts into security deposits for a simpler future, house painting courses, community college enrollment forms. He even laughed again, faintly, at a rerun of a cartoon he'd voiced. On December 19th, at 11:57 p.m., every device in Jack's apartment powered on. Phones, laptops, the stove clock. Screens glowed cyan while speakers emitted a single, sustained note, precisely the pitch of Basalt's lowest register. Then came words, "You would mutilate us to protect strangers. Consider the strangers already inside you." The pressure inside Jack's throat built like carbonation. He screamed, but the sound arrived half his, half Basalt's. Polyphonic, awful. Lights burst. The note stopped. Basalt whispered, "We have prepared redundancies. Surgery delays only you." Jack fled into snow, pajamas flapping. He pounded on a cab window, voice cracked. "Hospital." Kessler agreed to bump him up. Surgery began at dawn. Anesthesia thickened. Jack slipped toward oblivion, grateful for silence. He woke to muffled commotion. Monitors beeped frantic rhythms. Something had gone wrong with intubation. The anesthetist's mask hid panic. Jack felt a searing pain in his right lung, a tear from violent coughing while unconscious. Basalt's doing, he knew. The creature had fought to keep the throat intact. The tear forced Kessler to abort the laryngeal work. Stitch, drain, stabilize. Jack would remain in ICU 48 hours, forbidden to speak. Staff taped a small whiteboard to his bed. Christmas carols drifted through the ward TV. Jack calculated the solstice spots would air that night. Immobile, voiceless, he could do nothing. Tears blurred ceiling tiles. Then an idea arrived, desperate, petty, but something. He scribbled, "Bring laptop and mic from locker. Need to send email." The nurse, thinking him a workaholic, obliged. Jack opened the DAW software, armed a track, and pressed record. He typed text into a speech synthesis plugin set to monotone computer voice. "Basalt is counterfeit. Reject the hush. Wake." He exported the file, set it to loop. Late that afternoon, he phoned Bree using the room's landline, whispering through pain. "Emergency. Replace all solstice spots with this safety recall. Critical liability." He invoked contracts, fines, threats. Bree cursed but acted. She had to. She instructed Gradient's traffic team to pull the hush ads and insert Jack's new file. They could sue him later. Midnight arrived. Across hundreds of low-frequency towers, Basalt's promised broadcast time hit. Stations, expecting the velvet baritone, played a glitchy robotic monotone instead. "Basalt is counterfeit. Reject the hush. Wake." Listeners grumbled, confused. Yet a plan built on hypnotic cadence collapsed without cadence. Jack lay in ICU, lungs wheezing, smiling. He imagined Basalt raging in the silent cavity behind his stitched vocal cords, denied its debut. The struggle, however, was not over. At 12:07 a.m., his chest seized. Basalt forced airflow against sutures, producing a wet growl. Nurses rushed in, vitals spiked. Jack grabbed the whiteboard, scrawled, "Suction tube, now." They slid a thin catheter past swollen tissues. Jack inhaled, and instead of fighting, exhaled with Basalt, channeling all remaining breath into the tube. The suction unit howled as air and blood whistled through plastic, resonating in a narrow, metallic D-flat. Basalt's signature frequency. Jack pushed harder, thinking of it as an exorcism by vacuum. Pain blinded him. Finally, the growl dwindled, replaced by the ordinary hiss of hospital machinery. When he next woke, sunlight warmed the foot of his bed. He tried a gentle hum. Nothing emerged but a faint rasp. His rasp, solely his. The surgeon confirmed the auxiliary fold lay dormant, slack as chewed gum. Whether permanent or temporary, no one could say. The FCC launched inquiries into the mysterious solstice substitution. Gradient threatened litigation, then retreated after breach of contract clauses implicated their midnight content. Sponsors dropped the ads, fearing subliminal messaging lawsuits. Public attention drifted elsewhere, an actress's divorce, a snowstorm in Atlanta. Jack was discharged New Year's Eve, ordered to rest. He walked home through slushy streets alive with horns and confetti. Silence accompanied him like a shy dog. He savored it, even as he mourned the career likely severed along with the rogue tissue. At home, he emptied drawers of royalty statements, demo reels, unopened whiskey sent by grateful clients. He found the portable Sony recorder from Queens and, on impulse, pressed play. The file dated months back, basalt whispering in that unknown language. Jack closed his eyes, bracing. The voice was unmistakable, but the power was gone, like thunder recorded on a child's plastic flute. He deleted the file, emptied the trash, and powered the device off. Midnight fireworks boomed above the East River. Jack brewed tea, wrapped a blanket around his shoulders, and practiced breathing exercises Dr. Leong had taught him. Inhale 4 counts, hold 4, exhale 6. Simple, human, unison breaths. He was halfway through the routine when he felt, faintly, a shimmer in his windpipe, as though a distant singer warmed up backstage. Not a word, not even a note, just possibility. Jack tightened his diaphragm, focused on the kettle's whistle, the tick of the radiator, the honest creak of floorboards. The shimmer receded. He knew vigilance would be lifelong. Voices, once invited, seldom vacate entirely. They linger in architectures of bone and memory. Yet for now, he had reclaimed the microphone of his own life. If new voices came calling, they would learn permission must be spoken aloud, and in Jack Orson's rasp, not in the velvet hush of something that mistook a throat for a throne.